Hi, Maria here. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about my ultra feminine fragrances. Yeah, I've got 6 here that I want to share with you, but before I do that, if you haven't subscribed, just go ahead and hit that button. I would love to have you part of the Weird and Wonderful family, and without further ado, let's get into this. Actually, before I start, I actually recorded this video twice before and I really struggled. And the reason why is because I didn't feel comfortable with the ultra feminine category. I just struggled with talking about it because honestly, I've never felt ultra feminine. So I really struggled growing up. What I associated ultra feminine with was, frilly, slightly cloying, manipulative, which is all, this is all horrible because that's not what the true femininity is about, but that's what I associated with it. Only pink, just kind of a simpering whatever. That's what I associated. Weak. Those were my adjectives for ultra feminine. But beyond that, I didn't fit into kind of a traditional feminine role. I don't think I really ever have. Although now that I have a more, like a better understanding of the feminine, I don't view it in that same negative light. But I'm going to share with you some traditionally feminine fragrances. But if you don't fit into that mold, don't feel that you're not feminine, because femininity or masculinity is a lot more broad than I think that we realize. And regardless of, I just think that we should recognize that feminine can be soft and alluring, but it also can be powerful and aggressive, just as masculine can be, strong and bold, and it can also be really gentle and generous. So and that we all have different aspects of I think the masculine and the feminine in us that comes out at different times, like traditional wording for that, if that makes sense. So don't put yourself in a box is basically what I'm saying. Wear whatever you want. But these fragrances would be what I would think of as just beautiful, ultra uber feminine fragrances. And each one is slightly different, which is kind of cool. So I want to start with what I think is the most classic, which is Cuckoo Mademoiselle by Chanel. First of all, the bottle is stunning. It's very classy. It's understated. The juice in here, this blush pink, to me is so beautiful and feminine, soft, gorgeous. I just imagine this sitting on a woman's dressing table as she's getting ready, and she's kind of got pearls beside it. That's the vibe that I get out of this one. This is such a gorgeous fragrance. What I love about it is that it's long lasting for being a citrus. So this is it's got, I think, bergamot and orange in it. I get more of the orange, and it smells like a very warm orange. So you know how some citrus smells bright and mouth-watering? This is more sweet orange than a bright orange, if that makes sense. There's your typical florals. I think there's jasmine, I think orange blossom, I think rose is in here. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure rose is in here as well. And then in the base, you've got a little bit of vanilla. There's vetiver, some kind of woody notes. So this one is your typical chic floral, but I just think it's beautiful. Super long lasting, super feminine. I think it's a gorgeous fragrance. What I love about this one is it kind of morphs as you wear it. So to begin with, you get kind of this warm citrus floral, and then as it dries down, you get a little more of the sweetness and the spice from the vanilla and the wood. So I love this fragrance, and yeah, it's Chanel, it's classy, I love it, I love it. The next uber feminine fragrance that I have for you is Elisabeth Le Parfum. This one is just stunning. It's primarily orange blossom, but it has honey and cedar in it as well. So this one can be quite heady and potentially headache inducing. If you're not a fan of florals, in particular orange blossom, maybe stay away from this one. But it's just a super delicate, beautiful floral. But with that added honey, there's a bit of sweetness, and then with the cedar in it, it gives it just a hint of spice. So I notice that honey and the cedar coming out a little later to play, and it's beautiful. I find that this is long lasting as well. It lasts all day on me. And both of these, typically if I wear these, I get compliments. So I just think that they're both stunning fragrances. When I smell this one, I think about walking into a big house, you know those houses with the huge entryways, and there's kind of a circular table there, and it being full of white florals like orange blossom, maybe some white peony, some orchid, whatever, like I don't know, just beautiful white florals, in kind of a classic style mansion, if that makes sense. That's the feel that I get from this fragrance. So it feels and smells really classy. Love it. Next fragrance that I find to be uber feminine but a little more sensual is L'Entrée by Givenchy. I talked about this one in my last video, but it is just beautiful. Now this is more tuberose. It's definitely sweeter and a little bit more gourmand feeling than the other two, although this one is certainly floral. It has pear and bergamot in the opening, and then you get beautiful tuberose. I think there's jasmine in this one too, but I'm getting all the tuberose. And then as it dries down, you get vanilla, you get patchouli, vetiver. I don't notice the patchouli, but definitely get the little bit of spice from that vetiver. I just think it's beautiful. It smells a little bit syrupy. It smells a bit cozy. It smells warm. It smells a little bit like a hug. It's not like so gourmand that it smells like hyper vanillic. There's still that tuberose pear to kind of bring some brightness to it. But this is seriously one of my favorite fragrances. Actually, all of these are in my top fragrances. I just think that they're gorgeous. And this one was kind of like a ride or die, like I'll never get rid of this in my collection. And then I got this one and I'm like, oh, I think that this one got replaced, but I actually just can't get rid of either of them. So this is just, to me, a stunning fragrance, a lot sweeter than the other ones. Again, super long lasting. I find this one exceptionally uplifting as well. So definitely get your nose on this one. There are so many different releases now. This is the EDP, but there's an EDT, there's an Intense, and now there's a Rouge. And they all have their own unique qualities that make all of them really quite special. Like Givenchy really knocked this line out of the park as far as I'm concerned, because they're all beautiful and there's really something for everyone. So the EDT, it's nice and fresh. It's got a poppy note. It's a little bit different than this one. There's still that same DNA, but the EDT is a little bit fresher. So if you find this one a little bit thick, check out the EDT because it's really beautiful as well, and also very, very feminine. Next fragrance that I have for you is Be Layerd's First Kiss, which is the inspired scent for Parfum de Marly's Delina. And this one's a bit more of a powerhouse. So this one, not near as sweet as this one, not near as kind of floral. This one has a little bit more of a punch to it because it has rhubarb and lychee in the opening. So it's kind of tart mixed with this beautiful rose. I also get just a hint of a smoky quality with this one. Yeah, smoky slash a little bit leathery, but not leathery at the same time. So once it's on my skin for a while, yeah, somehow there's a bit of a smoky, like not cigarette smoke, just somehow a smoky, leathery vibe that I get on my skin that I'm totally addicted to. So this one is definitely a little more powerful feminine as opposed to light, airy, soft, and it's just gorgeous. It's very sensual, but yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. A lot of people recommend this as a bridal fragrance. Any of these would work as a bridal fragrance. This one isn't too sicky sweet, like depending on the temperature, this one can get a bit cloying, whereas this one can get a little headache inducing because it's so heady. But this one, to me, it's just a perfect balance of sweet and tart. and floral. So beautiful, sensual. I would say that out of all the four that I've talked about so far, this is definitely the most sensual out of them. This is also a major powerhouse. So yeah, this thing lasts for a long time on the skin. Like I'll smell it literally all day. So beautiful, beautiful fragrance. Interestingly, this is one of my husband's least favorite fragrances, which is too bad because it's one of my favorites. So anyway, First Kiss by Be Layered, inspired scent for Parfums de Marly, beautiful. The next one is also very sensual as well as being uber feminine, including the bottle, which is absolutely stunning. This is Jean Paul Gaultier's Labelle. It's the original Labelle, and I think it's amazing. When the notes were supposedly pear, vanilla, and vetiver, since then they've come out with a whole list of notes. This just smells like a delicious, kind of a delicious dessert. So this one is a little bit more maybe evening appropriate. It's kind of flirty, but so feminine. Again, like even the color, it's just gorgeous. I love everything about this bottle and the fragrance inside. When I wear it, I feel flirty, I feel feminine, it's uplifting. It's just a gorgeous fragrance. It smells like kind of a pear liquored dessert to me, like not a pear that's like got, you know, crumble on it or anything like that, but I'm thinking of a poached pear in some sort of rum or liqueur with some spices, like a little bit of cinnamony type spices. That's kind of what I get out of this. Seriously, I could smell this one all day. It's so good. So yeah, very feminine, but a little bit more on the alluring, sensual side. The last feminine fragrance that I have to share with you today is Mon Guerlain by Guerlain. Now this one, honestly, when I came back from the hospital, this was the fragrance that I wore. Like I just kept wearing this. Like I'd go to smell other things and I still wasn't feeling like I was far from 100%. So a little bit feeling sick to my stomach, just felt terrible actually. So, and I did have my sniffer back so I could smell again. But for whatever reason, this was the fragrance that I gravitated towards continually. Now again, bottle is stunning. The color, like the blush pink, everything about it to me exudes femininity as far as the presentation. The fragrance, interestingly, it uses a note typically used in male fragrances, which is lavender. And that's what I think makes this fragrance so special. So it's got that beautiful vanilla quality that Guerlain does so well, but paired with the bergamot and lavender, this is such a comforting fragrance. Like it just smells, like to me, it's grounding because of that lavender. That scent stays throughout the whole day, so it's sweet. But somehow it's just so comforting with that lavender, and for whatever reason it settled my stomach and just made me feel happy throughout the day. So it felt cozy, it felt comforting. I love it, and yeah, it's so super feminine. Normally if I'm not feeling well, this is the one that I reach for, Cocoa Mademoiselle. But yeah, seriously, I wore this for about a week straight because it was the only fragrance that I could somehow tolerate. The lavender was just so relaxing, and yeah, beautiful, beautiful feminine fragrance. I think Jeremy Fragrance always says that this smells like a wife. I totally get that. I always think of being a mom when I have this on because I used a lot of lavender body products on my son when he was a little baby. So yeah, the lavender just somehow gives me warm feels, and yes, so gorgeous. So Mon Guerlain by Guerlain. And that is it. Those are my most feminine fragrances, kind of the uber feminine, soft, floral, sensual fragrances that I have. I hope that you enjoyed. Please let me know what your favorite feminine fragrances are. If there's something that I should try, I love hearing about your recommendations. And other than that, I hope you have an amazing week, and we'll talk to you soon.